Well, hello. As we are getting into summer, we are in prime picnic season. Whether you're actually at a barbecue, a park, a lake, or you just want to have that atmosphere at home all the time, because a picnic is really a party, and when do you not want that? You need the perfect picnic coleslaw. And that's what we're having today, the perfect picnic coleslaw. Now this is really kind of just an updated version of my grandma's coleslaw dressing recipe from forever. This is what she's always used, my mom's always used, and it's what I'm used to. I feel like with coleslaw, you are either team creamy dressing or team vinaigrette. It's kind of a vinaigrette, but it kind of creates a more thick dressing, but on the vinaigrette side, and I think you're gonna about come to my team too, because it is so delicious, and it's honestly pretty quick and simple to make. So we always have batches of this in the fridge all summer long. Grandma used to make it for us, just so we always had some. We make it. So I'm gonna start with some oil, and I always say neutral flavored oil. So I'm using a grapeseed. It really just means an oil that doesn't have a lot of flavor. You know, olive oil, especially a rich olive oil, can be strong and actually have a lot of flavor. A grapeseed doesn't. So then I'm gonna put in some vinegar. Now you could use, if you want to, like a white, you know, this is a white vinegar, and that's what I like to use. You could use other vinegars, but to me, you just want that clean flavor, and you want the acid from just a straight vinegar, nothing extra really added into it. So then, some interesting spices here. We're gonna put in some celery seed. Now, some people, you know, you probably don't use it a lot, so you may have one in the back of your cabinet that you haven't used for a while. Totally fine, this is the time to use it. We're gonna add in some dry mustard. Again, one of those that you probably have, don't use them a lot. This is when you're gonna use it. And of course, you need some salt. That just balances everything out, and you need it. It's a good coleslaw. Now, old recipes used to have what? Tons of sugar. And I find that sugar in general, yes, our tastes have changed. Yes, we try not to eat sugar, but white sugar just also kind of takes the flavor away from things, and all you really taste sometimes is just sweet. So instead, I do balance out that acid with some honey. To me, it's just that great all-purpose thing that really does it just balances it, adds a little bit of a sweetness without being like a dessert. So the odd part of this is it's gonna have some onion in it. Now, this seems weird, but we are blending this recipe because you wanna get all this perfectly emulsified and then chop up the onion. So we're gonna actually blend it, and you could use a countertop blender. You could use, like I'm doing, an immersion blender, because it's just really simple. So I'm gonna take it, blend it, and we're good to go. So I have it all blended up. It's really simple, and that's what I love about it. If you want to use, you know, a countertop blender, whatever you have, that's fine. I just find an immersion, they're just easy to use, they're easier to clean. You don't have to scrape out the whole bowl. It just makes it nicer. So now, the main event, and that's cabbage. That's what I love. So I grow lots of cabbage. I always have lots of cabbage. It's just crunchy, it's crispy, and I think that's what coleslaw is the point of. When you're having things like barbecue, heavier, fattier foods, you want something like coleslaw to balance that out. So I use all types. I use my green cabbage, delicious, but you know, we eat with our eyes too, and so you want some beauty in there. So I love to use the red cabbage I grow too. Now, of course there are benefits from red cabbage. You know, you're gonna have more nutrients and different nutrients and antioxidants because of that red color. So that's why it's always good to eat the rainbow. So I do a lot of times take off that outer leaf. I mean, since I grow it and know what I'm putting into it, I'm not as worried. Now, growing up, we would have used, and Mom still uses, a kraut cutter or a cabbage shredder, and it makes it a little bit more finely shredded. I like to have it hand cut in the sense that you kind of maintain a different texture to it. So you kind of get a little bit bigger pieces, and that's what I like. So it's not just so finely cut up. That way, it also doesn't break down as quickly once you put the dressing on. So I'm gonna finish chopping this up, and we're gonna have the perfect picnic coleslaw in no time. So I'm shredding in some carrot. Again, this is color. Yeah, it lends a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of tanginess, but you know what? It just looks nice. And to me, that's the whole point. Look at this. You know, if you think sometimes like, oh, at picnics, people never take the coleslaw. Well, that's because it's not looking pretty. You need to give it its moment, and people are gonna be loving it. So, look at that. I'm gonna put some dressing on it. Now, this dressing makes more than you need for just one amount of coleslaw. But guess what? Once you have it, you are gonna be loving it. What I also love this dressing for is when you get into tomato season, a little bit on tomatoes, It's just good. Now, as I'm mixing it up, the longer it sits on there, cabbage in general is one of those things that it breaks down. So the salt in the dressing, the acid in the dressing will slowly actually be taking this cabbage and kind of working it down. And that's normal, but you can make this a few hours before and it holds up really well. But the smaller you cut your cabbage, if you shred it really finely, again, it can break down. So as we finish up, I always think the important part here, one, let's all just like enjoy the beauty of this. I mean, I know the bowl wasn't like the most beautiful, but you know what I mean. I like to put on some, some type of crunch. So for me, that's gonna be some sunflower seeds. I think they lend and have just like that great kind of color, that perfect look to them. I always am going to have to try this. Like, this is my go-to. And oftentimes during the summer, this would be my meal in the evening, maybe with some sort of protein, maybe not. On cue, when Kip hears a bowl or a plate, he comes into the kitchen with me. Look at this color. Look how beautiful that is. Think of that on a plate with a good pulled pork sandwich or hamburger. It's summer. I'm ready to grill. I'm ready to work in the garden because this is like crispy. It's fresh. It's pungent, and yet it kind of just like melds into the background. It's like a great marriage of flavors. The celery seed does not just like scare you. Instead, it kind of just like sits back there and it has this flavor that you're just like, what is that? And you're like, man, that's good. That's what this coleslaw is. Perfect picnic coleslaw. Whether it is a weeknight, a weekend, any day you want coleslaw, this is your go-to. I hope you see how fun and easy this is. And more so, I hope you share it around so others can see it too, because yeah, that helps me, but it helps everyone see you can make good food at home, you can make it simple, you can make it healthy, you can enjoy it and love it, and that's the whole point. So share it around, check my website, wiseguide.com for this recipe, so many other recipes. Until next time, be kind, be happy, and you know what? Share some good coleslaw with someone, because that to me is the point of life. Just have a barbecue.